I didn't know I needed a detailed Batman origin story until I watched Batman Begins, and I love it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Reeves and I like to talk about movies. Just under a decade after Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin flopped to say the least, Christopher Nolan released what would be the first film in his Batman trilogy, widely known as the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins. Starring Christian Bale in the lead role, these films, for lack of a better term, have a very real tone. Gotham City feels like a very real place, and the events that transpire in the trilogy, while still feeling a bit comic booky, do seem like plausible occurrences. But I'm not going to talk about the trilogy as a whole. I wanted to focus on the starting film, Batman Begins, released in 2005. And this video is going to be more my initial thoughts about it. Going into this video, this wasn't the first time that I had seen it, but it was my first time seeing it in about 6 or 7 years, so me rewatching it is long overdue. I believe it was Sean Chandler who said on his YouTube channel, Sean Chandler Talks About, which you should definitely go check out, I love his videos, shout out to him, that Batman Begins is the definitive Bruce Wayne Batman origin story. And I couldn't agree more. Bruce Wayne as Batman doesn't show up until about 45 minutes into the film, but I honestly don't mind that because this origin is just fantastic. The Batman origin isn't anything new. Most people, regardless if they're a fan of Batman or not, likely know that Bruce Wayne Batman's parents were shot in front of him as a child. The hero losing his or her parents or a loved one in the comic book world isn't a very unique thing either. But what this movie manages to do is get me emotionally invested in an origin I already know about. I know that Bruce's parents are going to die. I know how they're going to die. For the most part, I know when they're going to die. I know this part of his story, but the way this origin is executed makes me well up with tears. I'm not even kidding. The movie does a great job of showing Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father. We don't get a lot of him, but we definitely get more of him in this film than I could say any other medium, at least that I've been exposed to. But we get enough to have a general understanding of not necessarily the type of man he was, but the type of father he was. It's Thomas and later Alfred who teaches Bruce why do we fall, so that we can learn to pick ourselves up. It's Thomas who, for a lack of better words, takes the blame for wanting to leave the opera and even gives young Bruce a look or a wink reminiscent of, it's okay, it's on me. He's a real, genuine, loving father that I, as a Batman fan, haven't really seen before. There's a scene after his parents are killed where young Bruce is staring out a window in the manor. Alfred asks if he should make Bruce's dinner. No reply. So Alfred's on his way out, but Bruce turns around and says, Alfred, staring at him with tears in his eyes. He starts telling Alfred that it's his fault. Bruce feels like he's the reason his parents died, and they wouldn't have if he wasn't scared at the opera, fighting his newly acquired fear of bats. It's because some of the, stunts or whatever was being performed, I guess, triggered something that reminded him of falling into the well or whatever, running into the bats. Anyways, Bruce and Alfred then have a hug, and Alfred tells Bruce that it isn't his fault. The man who killed his parents is the one to blame. It's such a beautiful scene, and I was almost brought to tears by it. It's just a wow moment. The decision to have Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows as the main antagonist in this film is a great one to me. For one, it gives a nice explanation for how Batman Bruce Wayne is such a skilled fighter. His final test, when he has to face his fears, is a really fun scene. And I love how it illustrates Bruce's wit. He's cut by Ra's, and he notices that it's a noticeable cut. So he cuts two of the other ninjas. And when Ra's puts who he thinks is Bruce because of the cut in a headlock, Bruce comes behind him, his sword on Raz's neck. It's just a great demonstration of Bruce's ability to think fast and be clever in desperate times. I like the twist that the League is working with Scarecrow to purge Gotham City, though I will say the why for their motive is a bit confusing to me. I get that they have been putting the fear gas into the city's water supply, and then the weapon turns it into a gaseous form, which causes a mass fear, and then that will purge Gotham because it will start ripping itself apart from the inside. But why did they want to purge Gotham? I'm sure I could look it up, but that was really my only question there. Ra's and the League of Shadows weave into the story so well, and I personally think that it was a good decision to have a villain like Ra's in the film, as opposed to a Joker or a Penguin, considering that this is Batman's first outing. Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, is a really cool character to me. My two favorite lines of his are, "Mr. Wayne, the way I see it, all this stuff is yours anyway," and "Mr. Wayne, if you don't want to tell me exactly what you're doing, when I'm asked, I don't have to lie, but don't think of me as an idiot." I just wanted to share those because I really liked them. Michael Caine Alfred is amazing as well. He has so many wonderful moments in this movie, but there were two more that I wanted to mention other than his role in Bruce's origin that I was talking about earlier. But there's one when Bruce is in his college years and Alfred says, "I wouldn't presume to tell you what to do with your past, sir. Just know that there are those of us who care about what you do with your future." There's also a moment they share twice in the film. Once is in Bruce's college years, and again when Wayne Manor has been destroyed right before the final encounter with Roz. And Bruce asks, "You still haven't given up on me?" And Alfred responds with, "Never." I love those moments because they show Alfred's role in Bruce's life and that he's always been a paternal figure for him. Commissioner Gordon, who in this movie is Sergeant Gordon and then in the end Lieutenant Gordon, is played by Gary Oldman, and he's a character that I really like as well. Man, the casting for this movie was just great, but anyways, he has a moment in the opening when he's comforting young Bruce who's just lost his parents, which that had me welling up a bit. There's the scene when Batman asks what Gordon's opinion of him is, to which he replies, "I think you're trying to help." And then after Batman leaves, he says, "But I've been wrong before." I like his role in the final showdown because that's a good illustration of how the two of them, Batman and Commissioner Gordon, work together as partners, not just in this movie, but in all forms of medium. And the final scene that hints at the Joker's existence in this universe is probably one of the best movie endings I've ever seen, and that's largely due to the dialogue exchange. Gordon says, "I never said thank you," and Batman responds with, "And you'll never have to." He jumps off the roof, glides, the screen cuts to black, it shows Batman Begins, and then roll credits. It's just a wonderful ending, and those lines are the definition of Batman's relationship with Gotham City, and it's another wow moment. So those are my initial thoughts on Batman Begins. Like I said before, this isn't the first time I've seen it, but it's been about 6 or 7 years, and I'm definitely glad that I rewatched it, and if you go watch it, you will not regret it because, wow, it's an amazing movie. The Dark Knight gets a ton of hype, and rightfully so, because it is a great movie. But Batman Begins deserves more attention. It's not just an incredible Batman story, but it's an incredible Bruce Wayne story, which is something I'm so glad we have. And I think it's just a wonderful movie. Thank you, Christopher Nolan, for giving me something I didn't know I needed, a detailed Bruce Wayne origin story that's just so incredibly well written and executed. So go check out Batman Begins. It is well worth the watch.
Oh baby, go on, keep it spreading.